Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to each and everyone, especially those at the other side of the world. There is no time and space between us. There is only this present moment, and we are one. On diary entry number 967. When I set to work at underlining the Lord's words and thus was going through everything in sequence, I reached the page where I had marked down Father Andras' advice and directions. I didn't know what to do, to underline or not to underline. And then I heard these words in my soul. Underline because these words are mine. I have borrowed the lips of the friend of my heart in order to speak to you and reassure you. You are to observe these directions until your death. It would not please me at all if you were to disobey these directions. Know that it is I who have placed him between myself and your soul. I am doing this to set you at peace and so that you may not err. Nang mag-uumpisa na ako sa gawain ng pagguguhit sa mga salita ng Panginoon, at kung kaya dumaraan ang lahat ayon sa pagkakasunod-sunod, nakaabot ako sa pahina kung saan namarkahan ko ang mga payo at direksyon ni Padre Andras. Hindi ko alam ang gagawin ko. Guguhitan ko ba o hindi? At pagkatapos ay narinig ko ang mga salitang ito sa aking kaluluwa. Guhitan mo sapagkat ang mga salitang ito ay akin. Hiniram ko ang mga labi ng kaibigan ng aking puso upang makausap ka at mapanatag ka. Susundin mo ang mga panuntunang ito hanggang sa iyong kamatayan. Hindi ko ikalulugot kung susuwayin mo ang mga panuntunang ito. Dapat mong malaman na ako ang naglagay sa kanya sa pagitan ng aking sarili at ng iyong kaluluwa. Ginagawa ko ito upang mapanatag ka at upang hindi ka magkamali. When doing this or writing this, putting this into written PowerPoint presentation or any software presentation, I did not embolden or underline the words of Jesus. Pero kasi sa diary, if you would notice, when you acquire your own diary, yung physical form, yung mga words ni Jesus doon ay nakabold. There was also a time when I would change the color of the words of Jesus into red, just to highlight it, just to differentiate the words of Faustina and the words of Jesus. Because in the diary, there are many statements there or entries there that are of Jesus, not of Faustina. Faustina started to highlight the words of Jesus only in 1937, not when she started to write on her diary. Bakit dun sa diary natin, bold? Sa diary pala ni Faustina, underlined, ginuhitan lamang. Siyempre po, because it is written, handwritten, ang hirap maging mahirap na i-embolden, no? Yung gawing bold yung mga letters kasi nga handwritten. Syempre tayo, we are able to do that kasi sa computer, there is this bold, underline, no? You can do whatever, highlight, change the color. So you can do that in your computer because of the technology. In 1937, when Faustina started to underline the words of Jesus, she said that she came to the point where she already, when she wrote the words or advice of Father Andras, hinighlight na niya yon. So, ano ba? Guguhitan ko ba o hindi? Kasi hindi naman yun words ni Jesus. These are the words of Father Andras. But then what did Jesus say? Akin din yan, sabi niya. Ang mga sinabi sa'yo ni Father Andras are my words too. Hiniram ko lang ang labi ng pare na ito, no? Para ipaibot sa iyo ang mga mensahe. So, these are not the words of Father Andres, but of Jesus. Alam nyo, that's why I don't usually prepare na for the 3 a.m. Maganda ba rin naman nagpe-prepare, not an excuse, no? But preparing for what I would reflect on the diary of Faustina is more difficult than reading it and explaining it impromptu. No, mas madali yung impromptu. Why? Before I start with reading the diary and a little reflection of it, we are done with our prayers. 3 o'clock prayer, the Divine Mercy Chaplet. So there is already a conditioning, na condition ka na, no? Kumbaga nakawag-warm up ka na. And the physical body, including the physical brain, has already been conditioned for the flow of thoughts and words. So everything that I say, I invoke input and a discourse, saying those things na parang nagugulat na lang ako na right at that very moment when I would be explaining certain lines from the diary, biglang may inspiration, biglang nakukuha ko yung symbolism, nakukuha ko yung interpretation. And of course, there are other interpretations. Hindi naman ibig sabihin na yun lang, no? The interpretation depends on the level of the soul. The deeper the soul is, the higher the level of spirituality of the soul, the deeper also is the wisdom coming out. So, yung sa akin, mga siguro level 2 of the interpretation or reflection on the diary. This is not what you could say, this is already it. No? Hindi lang ito yung interpretation. Of course, marami pa ring meaning yan. Depende na lang yan sa level of the soul. What I'm saying is that when we invoke, whoever it is that we invoke, say you invoke your saint, you invoke the angels, Angel Gabriel, whoever you invoke, yun yung dadaloy sa'yo. If you invoke other forces, yun din yung dadaloy sa'yo. So one is just to be careful on who to invoke or who to ask for inspiration. Kasi kung sino yung hiningin mo inspiration, yun din yun. But because we're doing the 3 o'clock prayer, we're doing the Divine Mercy Chaplet, we are actually invoking the Lord Jesus Himself. So everything that we would like, of course, to flow through would be coming from Him. And what would be coming from Him depends upon me as the instrument and you upon, depending on also your level of understanding. But I think, kung ano yung sasabihin ni Jesus, yun lang yung naaangkop sa atin at sa inyo in particular. Kasi kung hindi maiintindihan, baliwala. Nagsalita pa tayo, naglabas pa tayo ng reflection on the diary kung napakahirap namang intindihan. It has to be within the level of understanding of the souls who would be hearing these words. Kaya nga po minsan ako sabi ko, minsan nalulungkot ako si konti lang yung nakakabasa, nakakadinig. Pero, kasi ito pa lang yung level. Minsan sabi ko, okay lang yan, ito pa lang yung level eh. Time will come when people would be hearing these words again. Parang sa panahon ni Faustina, siya lang naman ang nakakaunawa nito. and of course, her spiritual director. Three of them, the Father Michael, Father Andras, and sometimes Mother Micaela. So, konti lang. No, pero, sa ngayon, many are reading the diary individually or katulad ng pagsubaybay sa 3 a.m., many are hearing the entries. You do not have to read it kasi ako when I was first reading the diary, inaantok ako, hindi ko maintindihan. Parang dinaanan ko lang. Parang nagbasa rin tayo ng Bible, di ba? Minsan ang hirap intindihin. Most of the time, hindi minsan. It's difficult to understand but we continue on reading the Bible. So when we are reading the entries, it depends upon the level of the soul. And someday I know that many people will already be accustomed to what the diary means. Hindi na lang yung isang level ng devotee na ang alam lang ay Divine Mercy, 3 o'clock prayer and chaplet. Alam lang ay yung ano ang sinisimbolo ng pula at puting sinag na nagmumula sa kanyang dibdib. No? Hindi na lang yun. Time will come that their spirituality would advance and that they would already see and realize and understand the deeper meaning of the devotion, of what mercy is, of what trust is, and of what these are in relation to the overall work of salvation. Faustina underlined the words of Jesus, just to differentiate which is coming from her and which is coming from the Lord Jesus. But then sometimes this is not actually Jesus speaking, but his spiritual director. However, Jesus reminded her that she just borrowed the lips. No? Hiniram lang niya ang bibig, the mouth of the priest to tell Faustina what Jesus would like to tell her. Ganon din tayo. When we are searching or finding for answers to our questions, kasi hindi naman natin naririnig si Jesus, Jesus would work or will use other people as instrument to convey his message. No, minsan, mababasa mo sa wall. Minsan, nagsuscroll ka sa laptop mo or sa mobile phone mo and you will find the answer. No? Mapupunta ka doon sa site, sa website, where the answers to your questions are located. Minsan naman, may encounter kang tao or you would be hearing it in the homily of the priests or sa ibang tao, no? Minsan di mo na makilala, tapos maririnig mo, yun pala yun. No? So there are many instruments that Jesus would use so that we would arrive at the proper solutions to certain questions that we have. Yung mga difficulties natin, everything. Gagamit at gagamit si Jesus ng mga instrumento. You just really have to invoke Jesus. Kasi, yun nga, depende yan kung sino ini-invoke mo. So, if you invoke Jesus in your difficulties in life, Jesus will send you the solutions. No, ano yung recently, no, before I went to Cebu. So, for 1 week, yung isang nakatira doon sa maliit na room, meron kasing maliliit na mga room sa parang mga studio type na pinaparentahan yung auntie ko. And I was the one managing it. So, nagrereklamo sila kasi tumutulo doon sa wall. So, it has been there they have been troubled for a week. And the carpenter was not available during that time to inspect it. And so after a week, Sunday, just before I left for Cebu, tiningnan niya. And I was already, stressed out kasi ako lahat yun yung sa Cebu, everything. So I was coordinating several things just before we left for Cebu. So nakaka-stress. And then the carpenter said, ito, palitan ganito. So, di ba napalitan na natin yung bubong na yan? Di ba ang dami na namin ginastos para doon? Di ba kayo gumawa ng gutter na yan? Bakit di nyo agad nakita yan? Bakit ganoon pa rin? And so talaga nagagalit na ako. Pero nag-apologize naman ako kasi talagang stress na eh. So, yung alam mo na, yung dami ng pressure sa kung kailan ka aalis tsaka sumulpot yun. And so nakabitin niya, okay, so let's just work on it when I come back. Sabi ko nga pag nakarating na ako, nakabalik na ako, ayusin natin yan. And then nung gabi, may isa pang nangyari. Sumabog yung pipe. And you could just imagine, yung pipe na yun, doon yung drainage nandun sa mismong isang kwarto. So it was really emitting foul smell kasi ano yung drainage nga no, coming from the sink. And I texted the carpenter, ganyan. Kaya lang, hindi nabigyan ng solusyon. So, it was only yesterday that it was resolved. Pero naisip ko na rin. So, despite all those things, the Lord showed me. Pero in disguise, syempre, sabi ko, naku naman, Lord, ang dami namang sumulpot na mga problema na kung kailan naalis. Tapos dumagdag pa. But you know what? I realized na yung pagsabog na yung ng pipe na yun yung solution. Nakadagdag seemingly to the problem, but it was actually the solution, and it proved to be the solution kasi the reason why there was overflowing of water in the gutter was because yung downspout, no, just below the downspout, no, sa pinakababa na, nagkaklag na because yung mga tenants, yung mga sink nila, hindi sila nagsistrain. So, lahat ng dumi dun sa mga lababo nila, sa mga sink nila, pinapadaan dun sa drainage. Eh, nag-ano na siya, napuno. Kaya yung tubig doon sa gutter na nasa taas, wala na siyang outlet. And the only way is to overflow from the gutter. Kaya tumutulo dun sa gilid. And so, ayun ang solusyon, no? Tinisin mo yung baba, yung sumabog na, the catch basin, yun yung tinatawag nila. That was the solution. So, I do not have to spend again thousands of pesos just to repair yung suggestion kasi is to repair this, is to repair that, no? Dun sa taas. Eh, yun pala yung solution. So, that was it. Jesus would make available the solutions. Kaya lang, you have to be, tag dito, alert. You have to be aware. Otherwise, kung mananaig sa'yo yung inis, reklamo, and everything, hindi ka at peace, hindi ka mag-iisip ng maayos, so you will find the wrong solution. Just tune in. Lord, ano ba? Kung hindi mo pa rin maisip, matulog ka na. Huwag mo nakaisipin, and the next day, you will understand the solution. Paang sa panaginip mo, makita mo yung solution, or just when you wake up, may aha moment ka na agad, ganun pala dapat, no? Diba? So, nagkakaroon ng inspiration. So, let it be that every time you will encounter problems in your life, kahit may sakit ka or anything in your life, just trust in Jesus. Magtiwala lang po tayo sa ating Panginoon. Binibigay niya ang solusyon, kaya lang nasa atin na yan kung paano natin ipipick up ang mga solutions to our problems. Again, walang mahirap na solusyon, walang mahirap na problema na walang solusyon. Everything has a solution. No, we just have to think of it or let it be or ipagkatiwala natin sa ating Panginoon.